So today's Moravian text reading is from Luke chapter 12, verse 49 through to 59, the end of the chapter. Now in yesterday's reading, along with tomorrow's reading and today's reading, these sections, Jesus is talking about his return, the second coming. And without careful reading and without looking into the context, we might find Jesus' words shocking, harsh, not in keeping with Jesus' character as we've understood it or experienced it through the Gospels to this point. So just recapping a little bit, verse 35, 36, Jesus says, "Be ready, keep watch, the bridegroom will return to the bride." Verse 40, Jesus says, "Be ready because no one knows the hour. No one will expect him." Verse 47, Jesus says he's going to bring punishment and judgment on the earth, shocking punishment. And now in today's reading, we read that Jesus will bring division, not peace. Division even amongst close family members. That he's going to bring fire onto the earth in judgment. He desires to do so. So at first reading, we might think, well, I thought Jesus was full of love and compassion and mercy. And now I'm reading this stuff that the Master's going to return and is going to punish those who are not ready. And maybe that doesn't fit our idea of Jesus meek and mild, that image of a tree-hugging hippie Jesus. Well, to get our heads around this apparent contradiction, I think it really helps to split time into three parts. And I'm sorry, I'm going to make a massive oversimplification here just for the sake of time, but three eras. Across all three eras, God's character does not change, but his approach to mankind is different. We see a different emphasis on his character. So first era, from the fall to the cross, from Adam and Eve's sin to Jesus' sacrifice, God is outworking his justice. Sin is being punished. And so sin needs to be dealt with through animal sacrifice, the shedding of blood. The laws are given to demonstrate what sin is and to expose our inability to meet God's standard. We can't live up to it. And yes, in that period, God is loving and good to his people throughout that time. But what we tend to see throughout the Old Testament is God's judgment and his justice being outworked. God is just. Now, the second era starts with the cross and it runs through to the moment that Jesus returns. And this is undoubtedly an era of grace and mercy. God is patiently waiting. God is giving people time to accept the sacrifice of Jesus so that whosoever wants to can escape the future judgment and punishment that is coming. It is a time when all can be saved, when all are invited. We simply have to make the choice to receive the free gift of salvation, Jesus' precious blood. And then the third era we're reading about now, Christ returns, but he comes now to earth not as a humble servant, but as a warrior king and ruler. All people are raised from the dead, all are judged. The righteous inherit eternal life. We will reign and rule with Christ on this new earth for all eternity because we've been made righteous. And the unrighteous, sadly to say, face the second death, eternity in hell. And we see God's grace and mercy and his justice perfectly outwards. And this is what we're seeing in this section here in our reading. Christ's purpose is to divide, to distinguish, to identify two different groups. In some of the parables, it's described as separating sheep and goats. In other end-time parables, it's described as separating the wheat from the chaff. And it might sound harsh to us today in our modern climate, but we're seeing mercy and justice in perfect union. Mercy because all can come, all are invited, all can belong, all can receive this free gift of salvation. And justice because for those who reject Christ, for those who ignore his call, for those who refuse to cry out to him and confess their need for him, even in their final moments, The sad reality is that in doing so, they bring judgment upon themselves. Jesus will bring eternal peace to earth by bringing division. It's a sobering thought. And our reading finishes with some clear application for us today, with a clear warning. Keep watch, be ready, be prepared, and be reconciled both with God and man. Live in forgiveness. This is how we are ready for his return.